Hey guys. We got a really exciting AMA coming up tonight. We got Floppy Disk who's going to be hosting this with me, and I'm really excited that we have King Misfit here with us tonight. Can you hear me? Okay. How's the audio?
Perfect. Yeah, I can hear you great.
Nice. Well, hope everyone's having a good day. We have a very global community here. So for me, it's in the night. I know for Floppy, it's a little bit before dinner time. You were making food for your two kids, right?
Yeah. Well, my wife is in New York right now on a business trip, so I am single dad for last night as well. That's why I had to dip out early. Apologies for not being very active in that AMA last night, but yeah. Taking care of two kids while I'm doing this.
We had a really fun happy hour last night. We're definitely going to be doing those on a more regular basis, and yeah, it was cool to have a lot of people in the group. King Misfit, do I call you that or should I call you Sam?
Uh,
Can you hear me okay?
Sam, yeah, Sam is fine. Sam is good.
Or just maybe just the king?
No, it's too much, too much. I, it's one of those things. I'm about to drop it. We actually have an official King Misfit from the community that purchased one of our earlier packages, NFT packages, and he's actually the king. I'm not. I can't relinquish the title yet. It's hard to.
Well, maybe you can be Emperor Misfit.
Yeah, I like that. Just too much though. I feel it's too much. Too much.
Hey, well, we're really excited to have you. We dropped the partnership article last week, and the feedback from the community was really strong and immediate. So it's awesome to have you in here tonight. Can you introduce yourself a little bit and just tell us more about your team?
Yeah. So about 3 years ago, I retired from the U.S. Navy, and I was a huge gamer, played games constantly. But then I got married, had kids, and that kind of stopped. And as I finished my career in the Navy, I was a jet mechanic, and I just I had a big fascination with space games, and having family, you can't just be playing games all day. So I figured, hey, why don't I just build one? And at first it was like a hobby, like I wanted to learn how to program and be a game developer, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna learn this. I'm 34 years old. I'm way too late. Let's just hire a developer and kind of go with it. And it was a hobby turned into something much bigger. I caught the NFT game, pretty early back in 2019, 2018, and I just felt like the NFT gaming was just the perfect marriage. And so for the past couple of years, we've been building with a really small team, and from there we just grew. We had about a four-man team the past couple years. We built a fully playable multiplayer alpha. I've got engineers mostly in Argentina right now, and they were the core team, about four of us, and just been with me for years, and all the ups and downs, and just trying to bootstrap the thing. We had no funding. We didn't do an early token launch. We didn't do any of that. We just started getting to build, and I was basically just funding the project. And so, yeah, then December of last year, we decided, hey, we got a fully playable product. We got players playing. We got full NFT implementation. Let's look into a token now. And so, yeah, we started doing a raise, and we partnered up with companies like you that are just incredible. And we just had huge success in our token sale. And one of the biggest things people just kept saying to us is, look, we got a fully playable product with NFT implementation, NFT drops, and everything. And so I feel we are pretty far ahead, but we still got a lot of work to do. Our scope is huge. We're trying to build a massive multiplayer online space game with the two token economy, NFT implementation, and all that. So we still got a lot of work to do.
Very cool. You mentioned you're a huge fan of space games, and you're 34. Do you ever play Escape Velocity? It was by
Oh my
Ambrosia.
god,
Dude,
that was one of my favorite games. Yes,
yeah,
Escape
yeah.
Velocity was awesome.
Yeah, it came out in like '96. I just
Yeah.
looked it up. Yeah, me and my brothers played that endlessly on our like I think it was just like an old Mac, Apple computers. Man, amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
I gotta Google that again because
yeah,
man, that is an old game.
yeah,
That
that thing was epic. One of fondest memories of gaming, like back in the day was probably that game.
yeah.
Hey, so yeah, back to Space Misfits. Like, what can you tell us like a little bit more about like the inspiration for the game and like tell us a little bit about like the artwork? I think the artwork is very cool. It's like very vibrant.
Yeah, yeah, God, I haven't thought about escape velocity. I totally forgot about that game, but that's where it came from. It came from playing really cool space games like that. Freelancer and things like that were a little too early for me. But I really got into Eve Online, and I played that for about 10 years, and just completely consumed by that game. And what just fascinated me was just the economy behind Eve Online, and just the trading and all the roles that you can take in the game. And that's my true vision for our game is we're trying to build a game that's open world. We want players trading. We want players hauling minerals across the universe, and we want players to kind of define themselves without us telling them what to do. And so that's where that inspiration comes from, is just building a really fun space game, but bringing it to like an arcade style where you're completely controlling your ship. This is not a flight simulator. It has a lot of look and feel of an older arcade style space game that's more of a shooter rather than a very sophisticated flight simulator. So we do have our differences there as well.
I think you mentioned it, but one of the things that's really cool about what you're doing is like you already have a playable game, right? But I also know like you have a lot like planned and can without going into too much detail, but just can you tell us a little bit where you are in the development, like with like the next steps?
Yeah. So right now, we have built. So we got a fully playable multiplayer build. Think of sort of like Diablo 2, where you have like a rogue-like dungeon where you go into our space, and the deeper you go and the more skates you enter and the more rooms you clear, the harder things get. The whole time you're collecting resources and in-game currency and defeating other NPCs and flying with your friends. But you're going deeper into space, and so the whole time, if you die in there, you lose everything. So you've got to make a decision whether you want to complete that room and go to the next one, or if you want to go ahead and not take that risk and go back to the station and and dock up and take your rewards. So we've built this. It's a fully procedurally generated universe. These systems that you go into every time you clear a room, you enter this new space that's completely different. And you're fighting other NPCs and other bosses. You're mining asteroids in there, and you're just playing with other people. So that's kind of a huge core of what we built. But the biggest part is that procedurally generated engine, because that's what's going to help us grow and expand our universe and use that same engine for the future. So we've got that built, and we're now working on some updates and some new features that are on our roadmap in the future. But yeah, so far this is what we've got built, and now we're just working on content. We got this beautiful engine, and now we're just building gameplay and content on top of it.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into the next question. Like, you have like sort of a phased design philosophy. Could you like talk a little bit about how that's going to work and how it'll play out?
Yeah, so we're a free to play game, and we're not charging anybody, so we can afford to roll out in phases, and give people little updates very frequently through the month. Our biggest focus, we have two big focuses right now. First focus is on these roguelike zones, creating more of them, creating more bosses, creating more content for people to play through, because there's player progression happening right now. You start with nothing and you got to progress through, and all the end game zones that we have right now, you can collect our crown token. So you're working yourself up. It's a big grind to get there, but then you're rewarded to access these end game zones. But as we work on this, we are also building for the future. So we have upcoming what's called Disembark, and it's a shooter. It's not a first person shooter, but it's a shooter similar to like a Fortnite type shooter, where you're running around in an avatar, you're inside a base. You're collecting resources, you're trying to get in and out, you're having to face other NPCs and other players that are trying to kill you and loot your body. And it's a quick match. You go in and you go out. And maybe 10, 15 players may enter, and maybe 1 or 2 actually can leave because the rest of them just die. So that's going to be a really fun game, and we're able to bring a genre into Play and Earn that before is really hard to build a play and earn game. To build a play and earn first person shooter stuff, you don't have a lot of levers to pull, and the economy is tough, but we're able to build a game like that, put it inside our game, and have our economy work for it, and we're able to create a sustainable play and earn game that's also an FPS, that's also a space shooter. So the vision for the future and that design philosophy that you mentioned is building games inside and really creating a true metaverse where if you want to play a space shooter, you can. If you want to get into a first person shooter, you can do that. If you want to get into a planet and do some pod racing, you're going to be able to do that. So you're going to be able to play all these different kinds of games inside that are all connected and all inside this play and earn economy that we're building.
That sounds awesome, man. I love it. Yeah, stick to what you know, man. Stay in space. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool. So as I was really researching, mining asteroids, you have the PvP coming up. You have 3 seasons like already planned out. Like, can you go into a little more detail about the 3 seasons for us?
Yeah, so the first season we're in Rogue. So that's where we mentioned the roguelike gameplay. That's the engine that we are building to. It's not just the content. Rogue is like an entire engine. We're not building a game. We're building a game as a service. So we need these engines in here to just really grow the game. And so the engine for Rogue is to be able to create procedurally generated worlds. So in the future, when we get into what our next phase is called Habitats, we're going to use the Rogue engine, and now we're going to build 100 different systems all with that Rogue engine that we just built. And now we have 100 different systems all procedurally generated, and that players can go around, they can explore, they can go mine asteroids, they can go visit other roguelike zones that we're building for them, and then we just build a tremendous amount of content on top of that. Disembark, however, so we've got procedurally generated worlds that we can build. We got solar systems that we can build on the fly, just like that. Disembark allows us to procedurally generate bases. Bases are important because those are the stations that you could be running around, using the marketplace, interacting with other NPCs. We need to also procedurally generate stations. Well, Disembark is the engine for that. So with Disembark rolling out, now we'll have an engine to procedurally generate space stations. So now we got procedurally generated space stations and procedurally generated solar systems that will grow the universe. And that's when we get into the next phase after Habitats, is explore. And that's when we have thousands of solar systems that have thousands of stations that are visible, you can explore and all that. And every system has their own rogue zones that we're building and all that. So everything is in stepping stones, and these are the engines that we're going to use to scale the gameplay.
Nice. So like, tell me, like, as a player, like when you're starting out, like there's like a variety of roles you can pick. Like what does that mean? Are they like classes, or like how does that play out?
Yeah, it's completely open. So if you want to be a trader, you can join a player faction that is focused on trading. So missions you complete and all that will give you points to a faction, and that faction will give you stat increases for being a trader. It may be marketplace fees that you'll be paying less for it and all that. So That's kind of the progression that you use for different roles, but the roles are completely up to the player. They can choose and pick what they want. All the proof of work and all the gameplay they do will go towards that progression. So if you want to switch and you really want to focus on piracy and PvP, there's going to be factions for that you can choose from, and then you can work on your progression through combat. So all the roles and all the progression is really up to the player. You can be a trader, you can be a hauler, you can be a PvPer, you can be a guy that just is a miner and just wants to mine asteroids and build ships, So like all our NFTs, for example, if you buy a ship NFT from us, it's not just a ship. It's a blueprint. That blueprint allows you to build as many ships as you have the resources for it. So we give you the right to become a builder with the NFT that you own. So it's a bit different than some of the other space games that are coming out that give you just a ship. We're giving you a blueprint, and you take on that role as a shipbuilder, and you're supplying ships to the entire universe.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like you all these people have their various roles and they're all sort of feeding into the economy to make it all work. That's awesome.
And even building like space stations, right? Can you tell us like a little bit about the space stations?
Yeah, I'm really easy on scope. Our focus really is kind of to over deliver and kind of under promise. But the world is our oyster in this game, and eventually players will be able to build their own space stations and occupy their own little corner in the world or in the solar system. So that is something that we can do. That's just something that's further down the road. We're going to be building space stations, procedurally generating them for now, so players can visit them. But as we grow and alliances grow and the player base grows, being able to acquire a part of the solar system and build your own station is definitely on the horizon.
Man, it's really cool. I want to ask you a little bit about, like, you guys have a dual token system. You touched on it a little bit earlier, but can you like share more with our community about like your utility token and then also the in-game currency? Sure.
Yeah, and it's my favorite part. It's my favorite part because no one has quite gotten it right yet. Some play and earn games are getting there. There's some really notable games that are making a huge pivot. And I don't call Space Misfits play to earn, because to me that's a job. I say it's a play and earn game because we really focus on gameplay first and our earning second. Not that earning is not as it's not as important, but in order to create a sustainable economy, it needs to be a play and earn game. You always need consumers in the game consuming the token, buying more, wanting to purchase the latest skins and all that, like a traditional game. And a two token game is not something that the blockchain gaming industry has created. That's been around for years and years and years. But we're putting those tokens on chain. So the idea is that our in-game currency called bits, that is a currency that's not on chain right now. It's off chain, and you earn it through actions in the game, through NPC drops and all that. That currency can only be earned in the game. There's no pre-sale or anything like that going on with that token. That is used for various things in the game, but the most important thing that it's used for is it's used for crafting. In order for you to build anything in the game, you're going to need bits. So crafters essentially are using these bits and burning these bits, which is really important for them to build ships, build turrets, build modules, instead of them turning around and selling that same item for bits in the marketplace. We got them selling them for crown, which is our other token. So essentially you have crafters burning a tremendous amount of bits in the station, building all these items, and then turning around and selling those items to other players for crown. So players need to acquire crown to progress through the game, to acquire ships and turrets and all that. The crown token is only can be purchased on the exchange, or can be earned through in-game events, leaderboards, very, very, very small. So it's a very scarce very scarce token. But when you have crafters that are in need of bits and a lot of bits, what's going to happen is you're going to have a demand for crown. So we're going to have our grinders, the ones that are coming in the game and grinding bits. They're going to be the ones selling those bits to other crafters who need those bits for crown. So you've got basically grinders that are grinding out, getting bits, and then selling selling their bits for crown. So it's kind of a small glimpse of our economy and how the two tokens work. Where we need to make sure we keep in check is the bits. And we need to have a lot of bit sinks in order to keep a sustainable economy. And that's where we sacrifice company studio traditional revenue from a studio, and we say, okay, bits, you can be using that for subscriptions, you can be using that for skins. You can also purchase what we call king coins. With king coins, you can buy NFTs and all that. So we have a massive sink for bits and a big plan for bits to be used for various things. And we're going to sacrifice that studio revenue that a traditional studio would obtain, and we would burn a massive amount of bits in exchange for that. So, that's something that's on the forefront. We're thinking about it, talking about it every single day, because this is a really unique model that we believe is very, very sustainable. And I think this is how we'll achieve a true play and earn game that can last years and years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, sort of curious, like long-term horizon. I know, like everybody's talking about like the volatility of the markets right now, especially, but like, long term, how do you navigate insane volatility in the crypto markets, and where do you see the project, years down the road?
Yeah, I think the key to building a play and game is not to have to rely on constant player growth. If your economy can survive player bases that go up and down each month, you've built an incredible engine, an incredible play and earn game. And so, but we believe that play and earn games need to focus on the gaming aspect. Most gamers are not even interested in playing a play and earn game. They don't care about making money. They just want to play a really fun game. And those are the consumers that are going to be buying crown and buying the best ships and buying the best skins, and they don't care about earning money. Those are the kind of players that we need to attract. And in order to attract those kind of players, it has to be a really fun game to play. So for us to deal with market volatility and all that, we need to create constant demand of our crown token and bits. We know that with crown, we have advantages. We're launching our staking app. We're going to have our DAO and all that. So we'll create some demand there. But the key to dealing with volatility, I believe, is keeping our bits under control. If we achieve that and have enough bit sinks, I know that we can create a really sustainable economy that can deal with volatility.
Yeah, it seems like staying light on your feet, and if the economy's getting blown out of proportion in deflationary or inflationary ways, kind of just being light on your feet and reining it in as you go, right?
I mean, I think what I appreciate so much is, like as you were talking about earlier, like, you were in the Navy, and you were just, it sounds like pretty obsessed with playing these games, right? And all of that stuff existed, your interest in all of this existed, way before, the cryptocurrency, GameFi, all this world even, started. And I just love like how, you just wanted to create something cool. You can tell just from like talking with you tonight, like where the motivation's at. And I think like what I'm hearing too is like the focus on fun, right? So it's not so much about, we need to onboard this many gamers per month. It's not like the focus is like, let's make a really fun game and get like people playing it, which obviously they already are doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the key. If you can create a really, really fun game to play, And that's how you deal with volatility. Whether your token goes up and down, if your game is really fun to play, and players will play it during times when there's volatility and the token goes down, because at the end of the day they want to still progress through the game. That's a huge win. I believe that gameplay is key.
Yeah, 100%. Can you just touch a little bit, this has been a really informative session, and I'm really grateful that you came and gave us some time. Can you talk a little bit about what the relationship between Space Misfits and PathDAO, means? I know that when we launched the article about the partnership last week, our CEO Jensen was really excited because this is something that the guilds can really or especially us, this is something that we really want to be involved with. And can you just talk a little bit about what the relationship means between you guys and PathDAO?
Yeah, guilds are going to be extremely important. We were just discussing this, and as we're developing, it's constant discussions too about the vision of the game and making significant pivots. We want Space Misfits to be sort of a global theater for huge alliances and guilds to operate in. We have a very, very limited amount of NFTs when it comes to blueprints. Our fighter, for example, only has 150 out there. So that means there's 150 builders out there that are going to operate and supply the universe. So one or two blueprints a guild holds is huge. They can rent them out, make copies of the blueprint and all that, and that guild can operate and manufacture a massive amount of ships with them. And then you have guilds that are operating in this theater where they're controlling sectors of space, and they're moving the missions and moving the storyline and moving what we call power play, which is faction warfare. The partnership with PathDAO is that you guys can be, a really powerful guild inside our game. By picking up some of our NFTs, owning them, and then making copies and being suppliers and earning a tremendous amount of crown from being a builder. That's where I see it. Also, you guys are the Steam of crypto, and we need that. We need crypto-friendly platforms. You saw what Steam did to a lot of different blockchain games, and so there's a tremendous amount of hate when it comes to crypto games. I'm in a lot of traditional developer Facebook groups and stuff. If I just mention I'm building a blockchain game, there's one or two comments of, "Oh, that's awesome, I would love to learn more," but then there's 100 comments of, "You suck, you go die, what you're building is stupid." It's a tremendous amount of hate on what we're building. We are so early in blockchain gaming. I look at the community sizes, and they're just so small compared to the traditional gamer. We are not there yet, and I think it's because that we haven't quite come out with games that are really fun to play yet, and that are just too focused on the crypto side and too focused on the earning, when at the end of the day it's play and earn. It's play. It's a game, so I feel the partnerships with you guys is just, you're bringing a big community to us that can truly own parts of our world, supply the universe, battle it out with other alliances and other guilds, and it's going to be a very social game where you're just fighting against others to own resources and own parts of the universe.
I love just so much the focus on fun, and we definitely hear it and see it. Obviously Floppy brought up some pretty early games earlier in the conversation tonight, and I just remember for some of our audiences is timeline's a little bit different here, but I remember even when YouTube was starting and these things were starting, and people were saying, I can just go there and watch a movie, or I can go there and watch content. You're a real early mover in this space, and you have something that's playable now. A lot of these games we hear about, oh, they're coming out in 6 months, and then delay, coming out in 4 months delay. But I think your design philosophy is like really, really interesting. And you can tell just like from talking with you, like, and hearing a little bit about your background, like where the mentality is at, and especially around the tokenomics, like yeah, you're taking a unique approach to that, and that's definitely something that's like real refreshing.
Yeah, tokenomics and the economy is like, there's no game out there where I can be like, okay, read that white paper. This is what we're gonna do. There's not a white paper out there that has I mean, there's tons of white papers out there, but no one has proven this model. Axie Infinity, they're having their struggles because there's not enough sync. There's oversaturation. There's more minting than burning happening, and so they're trying to implement a lot of syncs for their SLP now, and that's what we're looking at. Is like, how can we distribute a token and then provide enough syncs and burn more than we're minting, and create enough demand, and that's key. And no one has quite done it yet, and Axie is sitting on a tremendous amount of funds to get it right, and I think they will. I think they got an amazing team. And I respect them because they were really truly like pioneers at this, and I look at them and but you can't look at a white paper and be like, okay, this is gonna work. Name a game that's figured this out. There's none out there.
Hey, I got to ask you while we got you, like, what other crypto games are you excited about, like that are yet to launch, or even ones that are out now that are doing it right? If you could just name a few.
I'm just a big fan of space games, and I haven't really seen any that really excite me. I think, and I hate to bring them up, but I think Star Atlas has like an amazing scope. They have. I mean, I'm hearing that they're trying to build ships that are miles like big, and they want to build a ship that is as big as a planet. And it's like, I really respect them for their scope. Like, they're trying to build something that never been done before. They've got a long way to go, but a ton of funding and all that. So I'm kind of excited for Star Atlas. At the same time, they're our competition. We need to stay ahead. They've raised a tremendous amount of money, and but we are a couple years ahead. We've got a fantastic team, and we're growing. We've gone from 4 people to nearly 28 people now. So like this year
Wow.
is just going to explode. And we just we have an amazing core team. We're just laying down game content. Disembark comes with our shooter. That's going to be a really fun game. It's going to be a great year. But yeah, I'm excited to see like more space games that come out. I'm just a huge space game. I haven't really seen like any other space games on the blockchain that can be like, oh yeah, that's going to be badass.
I agree. I too love those space games.
And what was it like? Was it season 2 or 3 where you guys are doing? It's season 3 where you're doing the PvP, and it's like teams of up to 5 players, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Disembark brings PvP. You'll be able to dock up to a base, but you'll be able to kill other players already. But that's not going to be space PvP. So that's going to be a shooter. But yeah, and Explore. The problem with doing PvP, it'll be a complete bloodfest. Players will be just destroying each other. If we released it right now, we need a bit more control. We need the universe to grow, to spread people out, so not so many deaths happen. But it's pretty crazy. Like, we have some zones where you can collect crown, but there's a 75% death rate. So like, players are burning a tremendous amount of bits just to earn some crown, the crown tokens, and there's a huge death rate. So we're watching that too as well. But yeah, if we were to release like PvP right now, it would be like a complete bloodbath. Like, we are ready to do it, but the gameplay just isn't there. We don't have the content for it yet.
Hey, Floppy, if the average death rate's 70%, do you think you would be around 90%?
Oh, come on. I don't know. I gotta dive in. I gotta start playing this.
Yeah, we got a couple players that are like, we honestly thought they were hacking or something, just just killing it, and you literally watch them, and they're just such good pilots, and they're flying their ship, and that's what I love about our game. It's so skill based. You got to get so good at the game to complete some of these end zones, and it's really achievable, but you got to really commit to it if you want to earn some of that crown.
Hey, well, I really, really appreciate you giving us time tonight.
Yeah.
And answering the questions, and just we're definitely want to check in with you again. This is a partnership that we're really, really excited about, and yeah, like as the seasons roll out and as you take some next steps, let's definitely plan on and having you back in here. And we also have a newly started happy hour that we're doing. So it's not really like a in depth, like 30-minute, 1 hour AMA. It's more of just like a hangout and stuff like that. But as you guys have some cool like releases and information coming up, like would love to have you back, and we could host you at that as well.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds really, really good.
Floppy's currently playing the game right now.
Yeah, I'm downloading it.
We got missions and tutorials to ease you in. We still got a lot of content to lay down. The hardest part's done. Now we're at the fun part. We're laying down a lot of game content. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And hey, yeah, going back to your competition, you've got first mover advantage, so that's huge.
yeah. We're not doing too bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yep,
Yeah,
no, thank you. I appreciate it. But thank you for having me. And yeah, it's great to engage with your community. I'll make sure
really,
I stay in Discord and I attend one of these happy hours.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, thanks again. And we'll be following up and have you in here again as well. So
all right,
thanks,
good.
thanks to the audience for listening tonight. Really, really another exciting AMA. Space Misfits is a partnership that we're really, really excited about, and it was cool to learn a little bit more about the plan, the game, the seasons they're releasing, the tokenomics. Yeah, like we love working with people that are really enthusiastic, and I think that personally sums it out tonight is fun, fun, fun. So this is a game that's geared at being fun to play, and yeah, we're proud to be partnered with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Great, thanks everybody. Have a good night. Talk to you soon, or morning for some of you.
Cheers.
Cheers.